Hello everyone, my name is Shafa, and today I'm gonna share with you all about my review from the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People is a self-help book by Dale Carnegie which reads for help a person to successfully handle their own life in a social environment. So, as human beings who also live as social creatures, we cannot avoid being a part of social activities, whatever we hate it sometimes. And yes, sometimes things that make us hate social activities is such as meet people, have a long interaction, we have to say hello, hi, and blah blah blah, or when we have a conversation and get to our time to convey our opinion, but people did not even hear us, or take our opinion just as a meaningless speech when we have been nicely to hear them before. Well, I know life does not work like what we want, and people do not always treat us like what we have treated them. But with this book, there are some techniques or principles to handle our life in social environment and make our job as social creatures to be an easy peasy job. First of all, the core idea of this book is that we can change other people's behavior simply by changing our own behavior. And this book will teach us the principles or the way to better understand people, become more likable person, improve relationship, win others over, and how to make an influence as a good leader. The first chapter, which is about fundamental technique in handling people, consists of three principles. The first principle is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Criticism is dangerous because it wounds someone's pride, hurts someone's sense of importance, and arouses resentment. Do not criticize others. They are just maybe what we would be under similar circumstances. Rather than criticize, try to understand, try to figure out why they do what they do. And the second principle is give honest and sincere appreciation. We have thinking about ourselves most of the time, and we need to think about others, like what they're saying, what their dreams, and try to give them an appreciation too. With words of true appreciation, we have the power to completely change another person's perception of themselves, improve their motivation, and be a driving force behind their success. And the third or the last principle from this chapter is arouse in the other person an ego wound. This principle is absolutely key in influencing others. When we want to convince someone to do something, we have to frame it in terms of what motivates them. And in order to do that, we have to be able to see things from their point of view as well as our own. Then we will be able to convince them that it is their best interest to do whatever it is we're after. And in the chapter number 2, which is about 6 ways to make people like you, with the first principles is become genuinely interested in other people. When we start or have a conversation, the right things to do is show our interest to the person we talk to. Try to be friendly so that the conversation will be exciting and they will feel safe and like to talk with us. And the second principle is smile. In conversation, smiling is one of the key to give a good impression to the person you talk to. So yeah, don't forget to give your best smile. And the third principle is remember that a person's name to that person is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Calling someone by their name is like paying them a very subtle compliment. Conversely, forgetting or misspelling someone's name can have the opposite effect and make it feel like we are distant or we are disinterested in them. The fourth principle, which is about be a good listener. Most of us are so concerned with what we are going to say next that we do not truly listen when someone else is speaking. Yet, most people would prefer a good listener to a good talker. And the fifth principle, which is about talk in terms of the other person's interest. Like the quote from Theodore Roosevelt, the royal road to a person's heart is to talk about the things he or she treasures the most. And the sixth principle is about make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. So, how we do it? We could think of something about them that we honestly admire. This might sometimes be difficult with a stranger, but we should push ourselves to think of something and mention it to them. And in chapter number 3, about how to win people to your way of thinking, with the first principle about the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. According to the author, Dale Carnegie, it's impossible to win an argument. If we lose the argument, we lose. If we win the argument, we have made the other person feel inferior, hurt his pride, and made him resent us. In other words, we still lose. So, try your best to avoid any argument. And the principle number 2 in this chapter, show respect for the other person's opinions and never say you are wrong. Instead of starting with you are wrong and blah blah blah, what if we were to say, well, now, I thought otherwise, but I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, I want to know why. Let's examine the fact. And the third principle is, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and empathically. If you know you are wrong, you need to say you are sorry quickly. Admit it that you are wrong, and do not wait and defend yourself with any argument. And the fourth principle is, begin in a friendly way. When a person feels negatively about us, we can win him to our way of thinking with all the logic in the world. We can't force someone to agree with us, but we can lead them in that direction if we are gentle and friendly with them. And the fifth principle, get the other person saying yes, yes. And the principle number 6, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. The principle number 7, let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. And the 8th principle is, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. And the principle number 9, we can be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. And the principle number 10, appeal to the nobler motives. The principles number 11, dramatize your ideas. And the principle number 12, which is the last principle in chapter number 3, is about throw down a challenge. And move into the 4th chapter, which is about be a leader, how to change people without giving offense and arousing resentment. With the principle number 1, begin with praise and honest appreciation. So when your friend or colleague are wrong about something in their opinion, you may start with praise, and later you may say it may or the opinion may fit for something else and give a reasonable reason. And the second principle is call attention to people's mistake indirectly. The third principle is talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. And the fourth principle is ask questions instead of giving direct orders. And the fifth principle, let the other person save face. Do not talk about their mistake in public. And the sixth principle is praise the slightest or every little improvement from your member. And the principle number 7, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. And the principle number 8, use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct, so then they not too stressed and have a spirit to correct their fault. And the principle number 9, make the other person happy about doing the thing we are suggest. And yeah, I think that's all my review from this book. I think some of the principles in every chapter will help you. Thank you.